Used to be a house there. It's all knocked down now, but Mrs. Sims, so we know that was our shed. That's actually where we first really started practicing all our first songs and stuff. It's just over there too.
I think we practiced religiously. I mean, every day we're in there practicing. Well, it seemed like that almost for about a year before we even played anywhere. And there was a point because, like John was saying, it was a shed. I mean,
about where that garage is?
Just over there. Yeah. Like Mrs. Sims, they had a dog, and a dog called
Sparky.
So Sparky was a bitch. And when I had pups, I used to have the pups in my bass drum, so we couldn't practice until the pups had grown up and moved out of my bass drum. Yeah.
It's very good.
But it's amazing how it's such a small area, you know, like O'Neill's house is up there, there's a ballpark, we got the photographs taken. That's just over there where we played and eggs were thrown at us at Mrs. Sims' shed, you know. We're so parochial.
And I just live not that far from John, just over at Elmwood Terrace. So we live very closely together. Apart from Mickey, he lived in Craigan.
Which is, it's at least half a mile away.
As far as that?
And it's all uphill too. Which is why I stayed in O'Neill's house all the time.
Excellent.
1976 is probably the year I think we kind of all agree that was the start of the Undertones, really. From what I remember, you know, we didn't actually... My brother Jim had an acoustic guitar. We may have had a couple of acoustic guitars in the house, I think. And then whenever Billy and Mickey, we just hung around together. That's whenever Billy had a set of bongos, and Mickey had a mandolin. Like I don't know why. God knows why a mandolin and bongos are better than drums. And we must have started doing Beatles songs and stuff at the start. Anyway, we used to do as a Faces song, "Oh La La." I think obviously at that point we must have been like under, you know, or I must have especially probably was dreaming about being in a band. You know, the usual thing about, you know, I didn't do all that great at school and knew the job prospects weren't brilliant and stuff. So the only other way, a chance of making good money or having a job that you love was being a footballer or playing in a band. And at that stage, I more or less reconciled myself to believing that I'll not be a good enough footballer. You know, so the band was the next thing.
For us, it probably around the summer when we first heard the Ramones and blah, blah, blah. The Damned, that was the New Rose. The Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the UK. But it was hard for us to buy some records, though. Like, we discovered, through a friend who had an amazing record collection, we discovered New York Dolls, Iggy and the Stooges. These are all seminal bands that have huge influence on our psyche, our songwriting, especially our songwriting, wasn't it?
When did the band actually become a band?
Oh, God. I would suspect probably, in fact, the first practice, in inverted commas, that I attended, that would have been 75, 76.
So the others been playing prior to this?
Well, they had this idea of being in a band, I think, for quite some time, but the simple...
Quite an attractive idea in itself.
Absolutely, and one shared by countless generations of other 15, 16-year-olds. I think the practicalities of it, as in, are you a band? In other words, do you have equipment? Guitars, drums, amplifiers? Do you make noise? Do you know 3 chords? Can you make a bit of a noise for 20 minutes? The short answer to that question was no, not really. And it was, I think, for the first... It was actually Billy Doherty, who I was in the same class with at school, for months had been badgering me, basically, to come and join and sing in this band that him and a couple of friends of his had. And I turned up at John O'Neill's house. And they did have lots of equipment and guitars and drum kits and amplifiers and things. Absolutely, and I was really impressed by the whole thing, to discover much, much later on that it was all borrowed and begged and absolutely none of it was theirs and none of it belonged to anybody and nobody really knew too much about what the hell they were doing.
The first sort of first sign of success for us was probably playing in the Casbah and building up a following there. That was kind of crucial. You know, it's like any band when they start up, they have to kind of get a local following just to... You know, because you're in a band, you don't know how good you are. You're always you're sort of not sure if this is worth doing. You never, you know, you might think it sounds good in a practice, but you don't know how other people's going to respond to it. So, you know, it was crucial for us to get some kind of following in Derry at the start.
Casbah was a laugh. But broken down, shambled old bar, just, you know, the bar staff were very friendly. Bit of crack. Friday night used to go up, and the band couldn't jump up and down too much, and nor could the people that were dancing to the band, because she used to go through the roof. The roof, the door, no, Well, I went through the roof a couple of times.
When we played the Casbah, it was usually a mainly male-orientated thing. So it was great to get some girls up there, you know. And again, it's a usual cliche too. And, you know, why do you want to play in a band? Like, because you want to get off. And that was again was in my current sort of way. That was another major factor in you know, wanting to learn to play a guitar or play in a band was to get girls. You know, it was like it was an obvious cliche, but it was definitely true to me as well. You know, and so it was great. You know, obviously, once girls show up, then more fellas are going to come, and then more girls are going to come, and that's probably how we did build up a kind of nice little following in there, you know.
The more often you went up, you really got to know the songs and all the cover versions they did, and you just didn't want to hear anything else after that. Nothing else was good enough.
We're going, gee, we must be doing something good here, you know. That was, you know, okay. Overall, the broader spectrum, broader sort of scene in Derry, you know, we got a lot of stick from people. You know, we were seen as a bit of a joke. But again, that's probably a typical Derry thing. Just, you know, that was at the time when punk was it was a whole media sensation thing about punk and, you know, safety pins and dyed hair and we you know, that's probably one of the reasons we probably never even went down that, didn't look that way, kind of, you know, because we were getting stick enough just looking the way we did, just wearing drain pipe trousers. You were getting slagged for that there, you know. So if you know, it was bad enough getting that without having to dye your hair or whatever, look the punk. Well, even though it would have been a bit false for us looking like that anyway, like, but you know, so you know, it was uncomfortable and annoying a lot of the times getting that stick, you know, just literally going down this. This is even before we were on top of Pops. We still get slagged, you know. It's like, you know, punk shite and all this stuff you'd be getting, you know, and that sort of stuff. But you know, you ignored that mainly because whenever we played the Saturday, you know, the Friday night in the Casbah or the Saturday night in the rock club, it was like, you know, it was packed out every time. You know, it was like all these brilliant sound people coming up, and you know, we were all into the same music, and you know, it was like a little mini scene that was going on. That was fantastic.
But I was thinking, here the cat, we should have a little plaque.
Yeah,
you know, like a cavern, you know.
Yeah.
5 lads that almost shook the world or something.
The first songs that I tried to write were more or less rip-offs of kind of blues songs, you know. Woke up, you know, blues songs of like 2 lines the same and then a third line. So I used to try and make my own lines that way, you know, that kind of thing. And then whenever the Ramones and the Hot Rods and that kind of thing started to happen, and the Ramones in particular, it was like fairly simple lyrics, you know. So it was always the lyrics was the thing that used to daunt me. But at least with the Ramones, you could see the lyrics were fair, even though they were sort of they were clever in their own way, like, but they were still quite simple. That gave me another kind of boost of confidence to go, maybe I could try doing this myself too.
The first time I noticed that Teenage Kicks was a song that we were being associated with was whenever we were playing in a bar in Derry. This is before we made the record, but we'd made a demo tape at McGee University, and we were talking about various things, and this guy came up, don't even know who he is, and he says, "Oh, Teenage Kicks, that's your big song, isn't it?" We kind of looked at him and thought, well, no, not really. And then whenever we recorded it in Belfast, I still didn't think it was that good, to be honest. We knew we were playing 4 songs for the EP. We knew Teenage Kicks was going to be the name of the EP. So we sort of thought, well, okay, well, you know, Teenage Kicks will be the first song on the EP. But to be honest, I don't think any of us really thought, this is brilliant. This is going to make us professional musicians.
Did you get much abuse? No, I mean, because you were lovable lads. Everybody, I always assumed everybody adored you.
Well, I had our moments here, but no, there was definitely a number of people that we didn't know from Adam, you know, but there were people who didn't like us.
What, here? Or just
in Derry.
in
Derry. People who didn't like us. And it's not like that we're saying that the whole town hated us. It was a minority of people, but they were the minority who used to sort of sit in the same bus that you were on, or used to hang around the chip shop that you were in, you know.
Does it make you feel there's a lot of them?
Yes, it does. And no, they used to slag you. It was only rarely did it ever get physical, you know.
And Fergal got the worst of that, you know.
It used to get physical, did it?
I remember we played, and this is like 1979 after we were pop stars. We were this Credit Boy started us down in Foyle Street.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Outside the Casbah as well.
My
Yeah.
brother-in-law was there, so he was all right. He sort of jumped in, so because I'm useless at fighting, you know. But
We
Lennox
also-
was good.
We played a benefit concert, remember, for Women's Aid in Chantello, which is north of the city. And there was a mob. It literally was a
Really?
mob of about probably 25.
There were people going around the
Just wanted to
hall.
get us.
There were people going around the hall, and they were these sort of hard men, you know. And they saw me standing. I was watching the Moondogs who were supporting it, and the fella says, "Where's Shergy?" And I went, "Don't know." He says, "Tell him we're looking for him." And I didn't tell him, you know, because I would have put him off.
And they didn't find him, I take it.
So
No,
we did like a benefit show, or not a benefit show, but we played in this park on a trailer just back there, and we got egged off, we got bottled off, everything was
There was
thrown
no
at us.
bottles.
Just bottles, surely, came up.
There was bricks. There was definitely
Bricks.
There was just
And I
eggs.
forgot, because like the kit
That's
that I
scary,
had,
that, isn't it? Because I mean, I used to get that at the Reading Festival, you know, and so I got like a fist-sized rock, you know, went whizzing past my head. I thought if that had hit me, it would have killed me. You know, if people are prepared to kill you for playing Cure records, perhaps they're right. I don't know. I hadn't thought of it that way.
By the end of the summer of 1978, we had the record out, and we had, I suppose, a degree of success too. We were on top of the pops. We'd signed to Sire Records, and we were doing a tour with the Rosillos, but we didn't have a manager. So we had to get a manager. That was the plan. We had to get a manager. There were a couple of different candidates that we tried before we went there. We got some local nightclub owners. We didn't get them. They approached us. They thought that they could do the job, and they came and had a meeting, and we listened to them and we listened to their plans, and then we decided no. Probably because 2 or 3 of them had beards, and in those days we didn't really like beards. We were that cool and calculating. And then there was another guy, originally from here, but a sort of fairly successful music business type person in England, and he came over. He flew over and met us in a hotel in Belfast, just outside Belfast. And he wanted to talk to us, and he says he could manage us and so on. And we sat and we listened. We thought, some good ideas. And then we thought we'd get a cup of tea and some sandwiches because we were hungry, having come up in a Radio Rentals van from Derry. And he showed no signs of buying us sandwiches, so we sort of said nothing for a while, and then we had to dip into our own pockets, get the money together and buy the sandwiches. So that put us off that venture. We thought, no, couldn't work with him. And then we found ourselves in London in a record company, and we needed someone. Andy Ferguson worked for the record company, and he realised that we were in a bit of difficulty, and he said if we were okay with it, he would manage us for 6 months, and after 6 months, if everything was okay, he would sign a contract, or we would sign a contract. So that's what we did. So Andy Ferguson became the manager.
I think the most important thing for the band that we really took very seriously was making the records, which sounds so obvious, and playing live. And if I can sort of dwell on the playing live, once we came off stage from playing, it was like we analysed everything. I mean, there was a post-mortem on everything. You came in too soon, you were too late, you played that, all this, and we really got it out of our system there and then, which is great, because it meant the next time we did a show, we knew exactly, we knew the pitfalls, not to make the same mistakes the second time round. So playing live was almost like, it was like half-time, well, obviously, when the band were finished, it was like a half-time talk, and we kind of self-managed ourselves. We were totally open, we just kind of went for it. We said, you made a fucking hymns of this. We just went for it, and that was it. And you just took it. But I never really felt that anyone was kind of getting at you. It was just part and parcel of what we did. Making the records, we've seen making the records as being very important. And I think Damien probably was looking back on it now, Damien probably was the main man on doing the records. He kind of had the wee insight that we probably didn't have at the time. And he kind of made the thing work. he had a kind of bigger picture of what we were doing.
Damien's like just Damien, I used to really frustrate me. Ian and me always used to run, and Melody Maker used to run polls about best guitarist, and the usual like sort of Paul Weller and Steve Jones, those kind of people were all obviously in there, naturally enough, because they were the big bands. But Damien's name never ever showed up on those things, and that used to really piss me off big style. You listen to those records now. That's got anybody who sees us live, anybody you talk to afterwards, they go, Damien's just an amazing guitar player, and he really never got the credit he deserved, and not just guitar player as a musician, he's just a natural musician. And again, Mickey's a natural. Mickey would never admit it, but Mickey's a natural musician also, in the extent that it's just natural timing, natural ear. Probably as musicians, Damien and Mickey are the best musicians in the band. They're the people who I might come up with the sort of the chords and stuff for the songs, but they come up with a great, they would be the ones that would keep it tight and solid. And then again, I don't want to leave out Bolly too, because again, you listen to the records, I all the bands that I've worked, whenever I'm working with a band now, I'm, maybe mistakenly encourage them to always play with a click track to play along with. And and our records were never any clicks, Bolly, we were tight and solid, and Bolly had the intelligence as a drummer to play within his limitations, and that's not that's not doing it. Bolly is a great drummer, but he knew he was intelligent enough to play. His favourite drummers were like Charlie Watts and Ringo Starr, and they were basically good drummers that just played, kept the beat, and put little, and they put subtle things in there like Bolly does too, And I swear that'd be my approach as a guitar player as well. Just keep, I'm not a very good guitar player. Just keep it simple, and luckily enough, I was able to keep it simple because of what Damien as a guitar player was doing. They sort of embellish that, and he never really got the, from what I can see, he never has really got the credit that he should have got.
I was the best musician in the band. By miles? No. Who was the best musician? Well, who had the best ear? I'd say Mickey had the best musical ear, for what's in tune and what is going out of tune. I'd say musically imaginative, I would say John by miles, by his songwriting talent, genius, by the chords he played, made up, and structure, arrangements. I started catching up a wee bit, I'd have to say as well, though, without being too modest, by Positive Touch, Center Pride, for arrangements, that is. I discovered I was very good at arrangements, with especially brass and strings, like Love Parade, riff, that's me, and stuff like, we all contributed everything, of course, but who's the best musically overall? John.
The Irving Plaza in New York, one of the 3 places we played in New York. And the first one we played was the Palladium, and I'd love to have seen that, but someone's told me that they've actually knocked it down. And I don't know if there was a blue plaque with the Undertones played here supporting the Clash or not. That's the one that I really remember, because the Clash, we were big fans of the Clash, and they asked us to support them in America, and we obviously said yes. We thought about it for about 2 minutes, and we were ready for New York, but I don't think New York was ready for us. And that's not really a criticism of New York, because obviously with Sire Records we loved the place and we loved the Ramones. We weren't big stars that night, I can tell you that. We were first on, not that many people were in, and then we were followed by Sam and Dave, Soul Man and Hold On I'm Coming. The thing I remember about Sam and Dave is that Sam didn't talk to Dave and Dave didn't talk to Sam. And we thought we were bad in our fights. But then the Clash played that night, and they were, as usual, brilliant, and everyone loved the Clash, But we were quietly enjoying ourselves playing here. It was brilliant.
Playing with the Clash was just amazing. Really, really nice people. we always loved the Clash anyway as a group. So I think we did only 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks in the East Coast. We got offered a 5-week tour, the whole of America with them. But I think Billy and John wanted to go home because didn't want to do that length of tour because it's too far, too long to be away from their girlfriends or whatever. This always happened, typical Undertones. Anyway, we did do 2 weeks, and we were very shy. They're a very rock and roll band, and we were antithesis of that. But nevertheless, we just got on really well. We didn't really get to know them because we were in awe of them. But just getting to see them every night play, and they had fantastic support bands as well as us. They had Sam and Dave, Bo Diddley as well. We'd play one night with them, so we'd be third in the bill, then Bo Diddley, then the Clash. And then also just seeing America for the first time was awe-inspiring. It was great. So that was a real highlight.
You don't know what they say to people when you meet them. It's like you always feel a bit. I think Damien's got to know Pete Shelley reasonably well now. Funny. He used to live not far away from where Damien used to live, But I remember meeting Elvis Costello once. I can go on. A couple of different times, but you just don't know what they say to these people, You have to be really drunk or something, and then you can sort of slab around them or something like that. But otherwise, it's wild hard.
You got to follow in the footsteps of the Ramones.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we actually met them too. You see, whenever we were signing Desire, I think I remember being in the toilets in the hotel in London with Joey Ramone. We were just peeing
just coincidentally.
Just coincidentally, we weren't doing anything wrong or anything.
I peed next to Matt Busby once at Wembley. Anyway, that's not really relevant.
Was that in the toilets at Wembley? Or
it was in the toilets, not on the pitch. No, it was in the toilet.
No, so we went to New York, and then we came home again, I suppose.
Well, that's a conversation stopper, if ever there was one. I can't bounce back from that, I'm sorry. I'm on the canvas, and they're counting me out.
Here Comes the Summer, we knew was coming out as a single in the summer, 1979, which was good timing. And in a shop in Derry, in fact, the shop was called Heinz's Shop. We bought a postcard. I bought a postcard, and it was that postcard of the people in the donkey. And it turned out to be a John Hines postcard. It was completely coincidental. But we had this, and we thought, you have to have that. Here Comes the Summer. It was corny. It was so corny. But we gave this to the guy who was designing our sleeves. And he thought it was all right. I think he humoured us lots of times. Like the first LP cover, we says we just wanted a black and white photograph of us sitting on the wall. And he came back to us, and I remember him saying, this is like asking you guys to write a nursery rhyme, which we didn't think was a bad idea. But I have to do something. I have to have some artistic input into this. So he sat and went, right, well, what do you think? And he said, what if I angled it like that? And that was it.
Favourite video easily is My Perfect Cousin. It sort of captured the undertones as they were at the time. Even with a record sleeve, Suburio Man and all that, which me and a friend designed, but never got the credit for. And the football connection with the undertones, which was always there, always there. My Perfect Cousin summed that up, and the video did it justice, because it's got clips of us playing football, and the Suburio, of course, as well. So it's the football connection, the fact it's fun, it's really great fun, and it's well shot. Julian Temple directed it. He did a fantastic job compared to another one he did, which was It's Gonna Happen, which I don't like at all. It was filmed in Derry as well, which was another reason why it's so good. Also has footage of Beechwood Avenue, my old house, out back in the back garden and all. It's just got everything in it. It's got humour. It's a great song anyway, and that's just fantastic.
My favourite song would be Soul 7, but that's off the Son of Pride. I think it's the Son of Pride album. I just think it's a great song, and I kind of like the way we're kind of going down that way, because it's a bit sad. It's a bit sad, and it's kind of reflective. And when you're in that kind of mood, it's nice. I think it's a great song anyway. And I know it sounds a bit pompous, but I do like Really Really as well, even though it's the B-side of Get Over You. I kind of like it, and I like doing it, although we don't do it now for these more recent shows. But that's not because I wrote it, and I don't mean I like it, I just kind of like it.
Well, John says, you need to ask John if there was any songs written about me, but he says there was quite a few. Obviously really romantic ones and soppy ones. There's quite a few funny ones, and ones where it was probably... We were arguing that week, and he was very prolific. So we could write a song at the drop of a hat. 9 times out of 10 springs to mind. One day in the week's enough, whereas maybe, maybe if we had a row that week or something. There was another song called I Know a Girl that actually stems from I had a pair of jeans and I wanted them changed. And I didn't want to go on to change them, but John took them on, and he started the conversation off with I Know a Girl. And he went home and wrote the song that night.
We love just all up, sort of around that area there. So you always working through the block side.
Where's your house that...
Let's see.
Beechwood Avenue?
Just there. Just those two sort of trees are.
Yeah.
Just behind that.
Just
there,
beside Deary's house.
Oh, right,
there.
I see, yeah, I've got it.
I'm mad, Deary.
So you were always going through the sort of bog side to go up.
It's quite handy,
up
really.
the town
It's like having a street map laid out in front of you, really.
Solitaria is a small place. Like you're pretty much easy access to anywhere,
Full of hills as well.
So I imagine the army kept an eye on you all from up here, presumably.
Us personally, the band.
Well, there might have been 1 or 2 fans, That's right. Music lovers, even in the British Army.
The police stopped me once, The police stopped me in Chantallo, and a jeep pulled up, and the policeman got out, and I was kind of going, and he says, "You Mickey Raleigh from the Undertones?" I was talking to him, but
Give us a song.
Whenever you're seen talking to the police, you're kind of going, right. Everybody watching me here?
I know, like, whenever we got on top of Pops, whenever, like, me and Fergal would walk over to John's house for practice, the army would stop us, because that was just like routine. And they would say, "What's your name and your occupation?" And you go, "Musician." And they say, "You play in a band then?" And you go, "Yeah." And they say, "What's the name of the band?" And you go, "The Undertones." Jimmy. You have all the Brits coming over, and you were signing autographs, and you go, "Jesus, go away."
I don't want to be caught doing that.
Signing statements.
Fraternising with the enemy.
Punk again was a kind of it was a social thing as well. It wasn't just a music genre that just kind of sprung up like a teeny bop thing, or it was there's a bit more depth in punk. So it was inevitable that we were going to gravitate towards that as well too. And even though we might not have like Stiff Little Fingers were obviously seen as the so-called political kind of band, but again we were sort of very dismissive of Stiff Little Fingers, and the extent that Wade Hare, that was like a music journalist, was writing their lyrics. And I don't know how much of that's true. At the time, it was more a kind of it was a sort of us against them attitude we had anyway. And it's not necessarily a go at Stiff Little Fingers. It's just the way we were. It was like if somebody wore cowboy boots, it's like that's right, we were. We'd make a laugh at somebody wearing cowboy boots, or if somebody had long hair. It's just a thing. It was just a wee kind of a mechanism we had within us, maybe to kind of keep as a group of people or whatever, and Stiff Little Fingers, kind of because they were were writing kind of what we thought were slightly cliche lyrics about Northern Ireland, or the north of Ireland, and the Troubles and that sort of thing, and we felt that there was something too contrived about that there, and they weren't real punks, and even though I don't know if we kind of regarded ourselves as real punks, or but at least we tried to be to that spirit as much as we possibly could,
We took a year out after Positive Touch. The only good thing we did do was we wrote a lot of songs and rehearsing and stuff, but we didn't tour, and that was disastrous for a great live band. We were a fantastic live band. So we were sort of out of touch in the public eye, and that's not good for a band. So you're kind of forgotten about. We put out one single, Beautiful Friend, which admittedly wasn't one of our best songs, best singles. That stuffed, of course, didn't do anything. And there was an air of gloom setting in, basically. And I have to say, complacency. Because by then, most of them were married, and I had a girlfriend as well. And we'd bought houses, nice big houses and all that kind of stuff. And I think we just lost the urge, it's that killer instinct to keep at it and work, and we got lazy maybe as well. And we set up this demo studio off Abercorn Road. We actually built it ourselves, in fact, in this space, factory space, and with the purpose of just recording really good demos and writing songs and stuff. And it wasn't very good. The actual sound of the demos were crap. But we actually did write, with the space of 10, 12 months, whatever, about 20 songs, which became The Son of Pride. Musically, I mean, we thought getting better. And, it turns out, actually, some of those songs on Son of Pride were great. But another big, has to be said, part of the decline and doom and gloom was maybe Fergal was distancing himself from the rest of us, and especially with John.
I can't really say I have any regrets at all, because I'm incredibly lucky to be in that position at all. There were some things that we could have done that we may have ended up more successful. We ended up more money. But I liked the way it ended. I liked the way it was fairly neat. We started off as school friends. We had some success. We made 4 records, and then we broke up. And we definitely broke up, which I don't think bands do nowadays. They go on and on and on, and then someone asks whatever happened to you, and they say, well, in fact, they broke up 2 years ago, but nobody noticed. We broke up, and we got in the NME, and I suppose that was as good a way as any to end. So I have no regrets at all.
I remember funny thinking after, say by the time the second Undertones LP was out, like, looking back, and, we might have been playing, I don't know, the Hammersmith Odeon or somewhere in London, but thinking, fuck, I'd rather be playing the Casbah any day. Those were the best days, And, looking back on it, I still do think that.
I did fight against that whole thing of that classic situation where, poor boy, in some people's eyes, makes good and scarpers over the horizon at the first opportunity. But the simple truth of the matter was, and it's something I've never really talked about before, I did find myself in a situation where my 2-year-old son was in my front garden playing and came in with a bloody nose because some other kids beat him up because he was my kid.
Really?
Absolutely. And at that point you go, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Now it's time to leave.
But it's nice to see you all coming back, boys.
I bet these two don't like the Undertones, do
Hey,
they? Do these
well,
two?
they've heard them, aye.
Yeah, what sort of things do you like then?
See that album there that I see there flashing around there? It's an album I have.
Yeah.
That's not the Spice Girls.
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears.
Like Britney Spears.
Britney Spears, your fannies.
Is it?
She is.
Is she?
There you go, yep.
Britney Spears is?
Yep, she's a fan of the Undertones.
She mentioned it on the radio, she was talking about it.
He goes up in my
Bizarre.
estimation.
Britney Spears is absolutely terrific.
She's got great taste in music as well.
Great taste in music, yeah. I knew that
I
girl
think her
before.
songs have a lot to say to young people.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Can we get Britney Spears now to replace Paul McClune?
I want an idea.
No, we're not married yet. Just floating it. Run up the flagpole, see who floats.
How did you go about recruiting a new singer then? You must know. Well, you must know.
Okay, we're the Undertones. That's John. That's George. I'm Pete Best, and that's Ringo.
I suppose the reunion is separate from the shows. The reunion was always a bad idea, I thought. I was asked about it a couple of times whenever the Sex Pistols reformed. I was asked at one of the local radio stations, would the Undertones reform? And I said at the time, no. And I was truthful about that because I thought the reunion meant the reunion of us and Fergal. It never ever occurred to me that you could do it without Fergal. And if someone had told me that we would be doing it, I would have thought, oh God, it's an awful bad idea. But then once we did it, it wasn't such a bad idea. In a very limited field, You know, it's not like we're giving up all the day jobs and so on and going out and doing it. I still think it's better on an occasional basis. I certainly wouldn't like to do it full time. Definitely not. But then again, they could do it without me.
This is a very old, very short, very good, nevertheless, song. It's called Smarter Than You.
It's refreshing. It's fun to do. It's just a pleasure, and I feel privileged to be playing those great songs again on stage all these years later. The main reason is because it's not a job. I think now like I said previously, we appreciate how good we are, whereas those early days we didn't really. So now we know how good those songs were and what it meant to us. Of course, there's a bit of a nostalgic thing about it as well. We're not getting any younger. Also, we might get another chance at doing it, and it's still I get a thrill from playing Male Model again, for instance, you know, and it's so easy. What I like about it as well, because these days I work with samplers and stuff, and it's kind of technical, and what I love about playing with the Undertones is the songs are so simple, mainly simple anyway, and it's just classic lineup of 2 guitars, bass, drums, and singer.
We weren't as successful like bands like Dexys or The Clash or The Pistols or The Buzzcocks. You know, there's an endless list of bands you can go through. But I suppose if you think when you're like in your teens and you're doing what you were doing back then, and then now when you're 40, we're coming back and doing the same thing, and nothing really seems to have changed. It just seems to be exactly the same, except we're just older.
One notes a go, hey? Yeah, alright. I was on the show, but you were very good, Paul.
Oh no, I was fucking shite.
No, you first 4 songs, I was fucking crap.
I was shit myself. I was just so nervous.
I know you desperate mistakes have been made by everybody.
Whatever. What do you think?
That was good.
Don't be too critical.
That was good. I did well. You're better than the
A bit fast. What's wrong, everybody?
Just making mistakes.
Jesus, that was fucking loads of bummers everywhere, right? I know, sorry.
Well, we're honest.
Well, you were very good, I think.
Fuck it. Enjoy it.
What was it like? Brilliant. Sure. Don't think it's a risk. Right.
Serious.
Group hug.
I'm really pleased, you know, because obviously people are going to be drawing comparisons. It's inevitable, you know, and generally people have been pretty kind of positive about it. I didn't really know what to expect. I had a hunch they might be if they just gave it a chance, you know. They kind of, but right from the word go, they seem to have kind of gone, it's not Fergal. Maybe a lot of them maybe wish it were, but at the same time, they don't particularly hold it against me that it's not, which is good, you know. And a lot of the really diehard kind of fans, because of this website that they've started up, we've all been checking it out, like, you know. Myself, kind of, really every day I sort of check out what their sort of postings are saying, you know, and around the times of the gigs, you know, it's been kind of, well done and good job done and whatever, you know, so if they like it then, I mean, they're real Undertones anoraks, like, you know, so self-confessed ones as well, you know, a very vicious and virulent breed of human, and if they let me away with it, then I reckon I'm doing something right, you know.
Paul came along at the right time. He filled a gap that wasn't filled before, and it was just there to be filled, and he's done an excellent job. He's a completely different singer than Fergal, but, you know, he's interpreted the songs in his own way, and I think it's excellent.
You know, playing now, us, you know, the band we formed, you know, it's like 1 minute you're playing a Witness, and then you know, you're back home in Derry, and you're getting up Monday, and it's back to the day job again. That's really hard to kind of, you know, come back down to earth again, you know, kind of go, well, that's, you know, it was great while it lasted, but it's not the real word sort of thing, you know.
Very good. A bit rushed. We don't know any more songs. We're ready to practice. Didn't even make the air. Can we not make the air?
That's where we lived as well. We lived at Collins Street. Yeah. I remember that. Didn't know you then, Billy.
When did you move up to Bigfoot Avenue? When did you move up there?
1970.
70.
I didn't know them, but I knew that.
19, what year was it? George Harrison's My Sweet Lord?
71.
71 then, because I remember listening to that.
Isn't that... Because I can't remember stuff like that. If you'd asked me that question, I'd have not known to within 5 years.
That's 70, like, so.
I'm nearly sure it was 71.
And I can never remember LP titles either. And it's really embarrassing because people think you have it all at your fingertips. People will stop you. I had a fella phone. It was one of those things. About 2 o'clock in the morning, phone rang, and he said, "Is that John Peel?" Yeah. And he said, "Right. What were the years? So what were the titles of and the years of Clarence Frogman's Henry's big hits?" And I said, "Who the fuck's this?" I said, "It doesn't matter who it is. I said, just what are they called?" And I said, "I don't know." He said, "You call yourself a D." It's quite mad. It's like being a doctor, sort of like on call around the clock.
So no good in quizzes now?
No, absolutely hopeless. But then also people think you can fix their stereo too. Is that right?
Do you want us to say anything?
I'd had several demo tapes from them previously, which I've still got, but hadn't, I have to say, really listened to, I think. And then one came along that I did listen to, and I listen to a lot of stuff and always have done, and it's what I like doing, and I also get paid for doing it, but the liking it comes first. And I just thought, this is terrific stuff. And in fact, I'd forgotten about this really, but I arranged for them to go into a radio studio in Belfast because the BBC couldn't afford to bring them over to London, to record a session there. So I think I even paid for it myself. I've never done that before, and we'll never do it again. But I just thought, this is so terrific. Would you quite like this to go further?
Well, funny thing, just to echo what Mickey was saying earlier, initially it was only ever meant to be a one-off, and there wasn't really a plan, and there probably still isn't one as such.
Yeah.
It just seems.
But there wasn't a plan the first time around.
Yeah, and it just seems to have kind of we seem to, from my point of view anyway, we seem to be doing a lot of things that we'd said at the start weren't going to happen. And I mean that's fine, yeah, but there isn't a big, as I say, game plan on it. So I didn't really feel a lot of pressure at the beginning. I just thought, as Mickey said, we'll do this, and I'll either get away with it or I'll be, brutally killed on the first night. And luckily people seem to like it, and we didn't for some reason get the anticipated backlash of because this isn't a good idea, you know what I mean? It's the precedents, the omens aren't good, shall we say? Of a band.
Whenever people get together, the assumption is that it's to try and make the money they didn't make the first time around because the management or somebody else copped it.
Taxman or something.
And especially do it with a new frontman is classically a bad move. So I'm just grateful that we've got away with what we've got away with, and I'm up for doing anything else that's born out of it.